If you are curious about the Twin Cities real estate market and Wright County in particular, I hope you will stay tuned. I would also like to have a quick conversation with you about what happens after you get the green light from a loan officer or get pre-approved for a loan. And I'm going to share something with you that I think is extremely important, especially if you're a first-time home buyer, so I hope you'll stay tuned. Before I jump into that information, I'll just give you a quick introduction. I'm Erica Carlson with a boutique brokerage called Bricks Real Estate. I help people buy and sell real estate all over the Twin Cities, and I specialize in the Western Metro. If you learn anything new today, I would love for you to join my growing channels, whether you find my professional Facebook page, my Instagram, or my YouTube channel. And then, of course, if you are ready to start your home shopping journey, or maybe you just want to jump on a quick discovery call, click the link in the paragraph that you're seeing and then just choose that first choice, and it will set you up to my calendar to set a time that is best for you. I'll share the real estate data here in just a moment. I'm going to be very brief talking about it being a buyer's market and etc. But I want to talk a little bit more with you about what happens after you get that green light. And I don't know if it's like common knowledge or not, but there's a fair amount of people out there that are aware that you may be qualified or given the opportunity to purchase a house at a price you might not actually be comfortable with. And the thing about that topic is that you have to take some time out of your day and think about your budget. So let me explain what I'm saying a little bit more. So I have people often call me and say, all right, I'm ready to start my home shopping process. Let's set up, a particular search on the MLS. And this is all great. But of course, I'm going to ask you, well, what's your maximum budget? And what I often know is that that number is maybe stemming from the loan officer themselves versus you. Or maybe it's a combination of things, like they said I could do 400, but I want to do 300. And so I wouldn't be really serving someone at a very high level if I just took that at face value and moved on with the conversation. It would be easy. Now, there are certainly some people that I can ask that question and they've already done all the math and they figured it out and they're comfortable. There's also another group of people that this might not apply to, but I still want you to pay attention because there's some gray here in what I'm about to say, which is, have you taken the time to figure out your monthly payment? So let's take out townhouses and condos and properties with associations for a moment. I would like to circle back to that, but let's just think about standard properties, single family residential properties. And let's say we were a renter and we're moving into home ownership. So I might ask you, what were you thinking you could afford monthly? Now, a lot of people, just that knee-jerk reaction is probably what they're paying per rent. So let's just do easy numbers today. Let's say someone's paying $1,000 a month in rent, and they tell me they want to continue to pay $1,000 for their house. So there's something I want to just say on the front side, which is typically when we go from renting a property to owning a property, it is more expensive in a variety of ways. And one that might not be obvious to somebody who's never owned a house before is that traditionally it will be more per month to own a house of equal or lesser value than what you're currently renting. And that can be a very hard pill to swallow, especially if what you kind of know that you're renting might be nicer than something that you can purchase. And a part of that is like understanding that this is a journey. And again, a lot of people don't want to hear this. Your first property might, let's say, start with a 2-bedroom condo. You live there for a few years and then you build up that equity, and your long-term goal is maybe a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom property in a different type of neighborhood with more square footage and more yard. We can't all jump, depending on what's going on in our life, from renting into kind of a standard house. Again, I'm not really defining what that means exactly. Sort of depends on what you're shopping for, of course. So that's the first thing. So if you think we're going from 1,000 to 1,000, that might be a little bit of a sticker shock moment. And that's important now to drill down on. So when my loan officer told me I can go to X, what does that actually equal monthly? Because if your expectation is it's that number, and again, I'm using 1,000 just kind of in a generic sense of way, that already we might have a problem. And we don't want to go out and start house shopping and you think every house up to X amount is 1,000 a month. It may not work that way. It depends on your down payment. We have to consider closing costs. And then there's other out-of-pocket expenses that a lot of people aren't aware of until we have this conversation, when we'll just talk briefly. We've got earnest money, which has some nuances. It becomes a credit, but it's still something you need on the front side of a purchase. Are you getting an inspection? You're going to need money for that on the front side. And a lot of, well, not a lot, but a fair amount of lenders may charge you for an appraisal before they order it. So there's some out-of-pocket expenses. But let's stick to my main point of this conversation. What is your monthly amount? Now, there are some loan officers that might serve as like financial planners. There might even be real estate agents out there that are willing to do that for you. But the best thing you can do for yourself is sit down and figure out this one important question, which is, if I find a property and it's in a fantastic location and it's a fantastic house in every way, it's just checking a lot of boxes for me. You know, what we define by those things, that's personal. I don't know for you. And if it's all those things, now what's my monthly payment? And then what we're going to do is backwards plan that into your actual purchase price of your house. If we don't do it that way, there's going to be a lot of sticker shock and there's going to be a lot of disappointment. And so it's extremely important that you are revealing this information first to yourself. If you don't take the time to mathematically figure out, I can afford to go to X or Y or Z, I certainly can't do that. I don't know enough about people financially as a real estate agent. I'm not going to look inside your checkbook. I don't know if you have student loans, child support, maybe you just bought a new car. We've got groceries, you know, all the things, right? We have all the things. And it is the best way to serve yourself is to figure out that number. You don't have to do it before you get pre-approved, but like I said, it's kind of coinciding. So you can go to X on your purchase price, but what does that mean? How does that break down monthly in your situation? And we're going to do the best as professionals to help you figure out, okay, if I want to pay X a month, then this is actually the amount. And I want to be clear, I don't think people are as evil and conniving as like sometimes they're painted. So if someone tells me, and I guess I can only speak for myself, that I can do X, I'm going to certainly help you figure that number out. I don't have any ill intentions of asking you to spend more than what you're comfortable. In fact, it makes me really uncomfortable to think that my clients may default on their loan because they were encouraged to go to a price they actually aren't comfortable with. And so we, you know, sometimes people are holding themselves back a little bit in terms of financially, but again, that's a personal decision. You don't have to do what they say you qualify for. And so there should be no surprise, you know, if we're going to be really generic, there's kind of two camps of people out there. There's people that are sort of told what their budget is and they feel like they can go more. And that's just, it is what it is kind of situation. It could be partially your credit score or your debt to income ratio or something out there that is sort of restricting your ability, even though you feel financially like you can go bigger. That may be like sort of limited by the lender. And so if they give you an amount to spend monthly or like a big number for the house, we need to respect that. The second thing is there's other people that are financially, I suppose, very healthy or more liberal in their ability to purchase a house. And sometimes those people are told, you tell me. So that second person also needs to do the homework. They also need to say, I'm willing to do X or Y on my payment per month, because the lender isn't actually limiting me. Now, of course, there's always going to be some sort of thing that's going to capture that, right? If they said, I want to have a $2 million house, and the lender said, no, you're not, that's not capable. But there are people out there that make a healthy amount of money, and so they're sort of going to self-limit it. But again, we still need to work with you because you could still be a little sideswiped if you don't understand how those numbers all play out. So I hope that makes sense. And before I move on to the data, the last thing I will share with you, especially if you're tight on your numbers, is let's say the lender says you can go to 150 on a house. They're figuring out a certain type of home insurance amount. They're thinking kind of a certain tax bracket. They are making it up to a certain extent. Like we sometimes just have to drill down on particular addresses and figure that out. If you are changing that into a townhouse or a condo or anything with an association, we typically want to bring that number down. So you're at 150, maybe we're going to round down to 125. We still need to figure out property taxes and your limit on your HOA. especially if the numbers are really tight. We're going to do that math in advance, and we're going to do every address per address and make sure that it's an affordability issue. So you're comfortable, right? Like, again, we don't want to look at the wrong houses, and we don't want to fall in love with the wrong houses, right? It's not just about looking at them. It's about like actually saying, I really like this one. And then it feels like it's being taken away from you because the numbers don't make sense. These are all things we can do as professionals to help you with the process. You can certainly do some of this on your own with a mortgage calculator. However, before I move on, do the right numbers. So work with your professionals to make sure you're plugging in the correct home insurance numbers. You can get the HOA and the property taxes to a certain extent just from looking at the MLS numbers. But you always want to round these numbers up. Like, you always want to go with the worst case scenario. So if you think the interest rate's 7%, maybe do 7.25 just to see, like, well, what if there's some volatility and things change? I'd rather know the worst case scenario rather than the best case scenario. There's really nothing that feels worse than like getting to that closing table and people don't like their numbers. Like, they're actually like uncomfortable with how things have rolled out. Their home insurance is more expensive than they thought. The interest rate changed during their shopping period to an uncomfortable number. There's some things we can do to keep transactions together as necessary. But again, kind of working together, working closely on these things helps, keep these problems down. So I hope that was helpful. That is something I try to talk to most, if not all, of my clients about. And so maybe now I can just share this video with people and we can kind of get ahead of it. And I certainly hope I help somebody out there who, never thought about it this way, or, needed to hear this, just to move the ball forward in terms of home ownership. Certainly things I did not inherently know, like my whole life. So let me bring up the real estate data for this week, and then we'll look at the Twin Cities, and then we'll look at Wright County. And as always, I'm here to answer questions for you. If any of this triggered any thoughts or concerns for you, don't hesitate to send me a text message or reach out, and we'll find a time to talk about these things.
Here we continue to be in a buyer's market, which means that sellers, you need to think about what you're going to do to make your house stand out when buyers have more inventory options, right? You see over here, we're up 12, almost 13% over last year. So more competition for you if you're selling, which means, number one advice is to have that house really clean. Clean can honestly take care of a lot of other things because it makes people feel like home. Think about a hotel that you visit. You wouldn't want to go to a dirty hotel. You wouldn't feel comfortable spending the night there. It's like that when we sell our properties. We want clean and crisp. So that will overcome, let's say, even like a layout issue, or that our appliances are not brand new, things like that we tend to really emphasize as sellers. But don't look over the simplicity of clean. And do not let your real estate agent take pictures with their phone. You need to get professional pictures. That is how you get people through the door. And of course, there needs to be pricing strategy, and how you're doing that. It might be best to look at what houses that sold in multiple offers did in your area, versus like what sold this spring or what sold last month. That might not be the best way to price your property. You might want to go back to this time last year, just to think a little bit more strategically, average days in market, we're looking at about a month. I just noticed I do this video almost every week. It doesn't change much. I might say 24 days, 25 days, but overall expect a house to take about a month to sell. And then the interest rate, again, this is very generic, but we're looking at that 6.6 range. That's conventional. That's not considering buying any points down. If you don't know what I'm talking about, and you want something more precise to you, of course, you need to reach out to your preferred loan officer. And if you don't have anybody in mind, let me know. I'll give you, 3 or so options to give you a place to start. I think it's always best to shop around with your lender partners and find someone who's the best fit for you. I've definitely had videos about this in the past, but don't just shop on rate. Rate can change by the hour. Rate can change day to day. And so you talk to lender A on Monday and you talk to lender B on Friday. now you don't have a, apples to apples comparison. So you want to be careful with that. All right, let's move to Wright County data. The actual inventory here, it's kind of dipped down like a tiny bit, especially when you look at the ones without contingencies, because we were at 561 last week and 549 this week. And that's kind of, I don't know, kind of just jumps out at you that there was this jump, because that number is pretty much the same as the week before that. So, again, we're always looking at trends over time, and it's just been overall just going up, up, up. So maybe just a little bit of a dip down this week. Pendings came down from 268 to 241. So again, kind of trending down on that. Closings went up, which is interesting. So some of those houses came out of that. But the thing that stands out to me the most this week is showings per week per listing at that 250 to 500K range. And what that means is Wright County gets about 2 to 3 showings per week per listing. And then Hennepin is 3.2. And so I was just sitting here thinking, that's pretty slow, nothing remarkable in that sense that we don't expect it to be real fast moving towards the end of August like it is. But how does that compare to last year at this time? So let's go to this August. And now we're at 3.2 and 4 for Hennepin. And so it was moving faster in the sense that there was more buyers out there shopping for properties at this time last year. So we have lost some of that activity, and not in a major way. Again, like somebody wouldn't list their house exactly at this time last year and then do it again a year later. It's not really like it works that way. But it does give us a little bit of an insight that it really is slower out there for buyer activity, and this affects things for everybody. And then we have days on market, excuse me, I need to clear my throat, is up over last week, at the 34.5 on the average, and the median is 26. And we've talked about this. For me, it's going to change every week because I'm only looking at pendings, and I want to see what went off the market, what is actually selling, and what, how long does it take an actual selling house to sell versus looking at all the properties on the market. And honestly, some of those will cancel, some of those will expire and no longer be for sale. People do get frustrated with the process, or things didn't happen the way they wanted, or they were kind of testing it. Excuse me, being willing to sell for the right person at the right price, and that didn't happen. So we don't want to look at those. We just want to look at what's actually selling. So it's kind of interesting. So if there's any data like this that you would need, I can send you a neighborhood market report. That's the fastest and easiest way to do this. Yes, that requires you sharing your address with me. And if that's kind of scary to you, when you click on the link, you'll see that Buffalo, Delano, St. Michael, Rockford are already set up. We could certainly just set you up on a generic one for the city. I don't think it's quite as helpful, but going from county data down to city data, that's a better step in giving you accurate data. I'm just looking at this. It's like such a broad view when we look at it from a whole county point of view. So I hope that helps you, and I'm here for you if you need anything. I'll see you next week.